individuals worldwide. Born with sacral agenesis, Alycia has turned her lived experience into a platform for empowerment, challenging barriers and redefining what true accessibility means in the workplace and beyond. As the founder and CEO of the Alycia Anderson company, she uses her voice to ignite change, proving that inclusion is not just a box to check. It's a catalyst for progress, innovation, and community growth. Her work has been featured across industries, sparking vital conversations on diversity, disability rights, and the power of an equitable society. Alycia's message is clear: disability is diversity, and inclusion benefits us all. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to the incredible Alycia Anderson.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I'm not going to take over. I'm going to let you ask questions, but I'm totally vibing the girl power. I love what's happening in this room. It's amazing. Thank you for everybody for showing up for us today. We really.
So first, this is going to be like a Q&A session. So we have some questions lined up for Alycia, but anytime you guys have any questions, you can jump in and ask. So, Allie?
Okay. So can you first explain what your disability is and just tell us what you're doing to make this life?
Yeah, so my disability is called sacral agenesis. It's a congenital disability, which means it was from birth. It's basically lower development of my spinal cord with a mixture of a lot of internal non-apparent disabilities. I've got some apparent physical disabilities and also non-apparent. I was born an identical twin to an able-bodied sister, so this idea of inclusion has been embedded in my life to just keep up with her. And I've created a business out of leveraging my disability, my difference, as one of the most valuable pieces of my identity that has given me so much creativity and opportunity in my life once I decided to embrace it, not reject it. A typical day in my life, I'm an entrepreneur with my husband, so daily pitching, I'm speaking, I'm with clients, I'm creating products for adaptive wear. I'm doing a lot of, every day looks a little bit different, but my business overall, I motivational speak around the world to companies like Target and Etsy and Netflix and you name it, and it's pretty amazing that companies are finally starting to receive disability as a value proposition within their organizations, and that's something new in our society, honestly.
What is one thing you wish everyone knew about living with a disability?
My disability is absolutely core to what makes me. Is it hard sometimes? 100%. But like I said, once I started leaning into the thing that society has always told me is bad, needs to be fixed, healed, no place for it in society, when I leaned into the value of it and went through that adversity, straight through it, there's literally magic waiting on the other side for me. And the cool thing about that for all of you too, your differences, disability or not, are exactly the same. They are super, super powerful, and if you lean into them and you include them as part of your identity and something that you lift up, you will have magic waiting for you on the other side. And your dreams open up, truly.
So the second question is, how do you think media representation of individuals with disabilities has changed over the years? And what part of this representation still needs improvement?
Media representation is so powerful, specifically since the invention of social media. Social media and media representation specifically today in 2025 has allowed disabled people to take their narrative into their own hands, to show a full scope of life. Strong, powerful, smart, capable, diverse. We're up on runways. We're in the Paralympics. We're within our society showing that we can live a fully functional, successful life, and it is not a tragedy. Disability is part of the human experience. There's over 1 billion people worldwide that have a disability. 1 in 4 of us in the United States have a disability. It is something that comes in and out of our lives as our bodies change over time. Temporary disability, a broken leg, a permanent disability for somebody like me, or onset as we age and grow and become ill, and all of these things that can happen to us. The representation of the diversity of the lived experience is extremely important because we don't believe unless we see it. Historically, what has been shown to us is something that you wouldn't want to relate to. Sick, unable, not possible. And with this type of representation, wicked, authentic representation of disability and the lived experience allows us as a society who has been taught through ableism that disability is bad, that it's actually just part of life and it is a lived experience. It's our common ground, not the thing that separates us.
What is a mantra or piece of advice that you live by?
I was born a long time ago. I'm really old. And when I was born, there wasn't things like the Americans with Disabilities Act. There wasn't accessibility. There wasn't opportunity. I was segregated in school. There wasn't inclusion opportunities. And when I was born, my parents didn't know what to do other than to instill in me that anything is possible. And they gifted me a strategic tool. The gift of belief in myself that anything in this world is possible if I'm willing to try. Alycia, you can. Alycia, you should, and you absolutely will in this life. And they gifted me that belief, the belief in possible in my own life. And I have carried that through to combat so many no's. No ways, absolutely not, sit on the sidelines, you don't belong. And in that, I have found a way to become very innovative in being creative, to find my own space, to have the jobs that I want, to be integrated in school and to be accepted. And I live by the mantra to believe in possible, in my own path, to believe in who I am, even when others are not going to. And it's been a powerful thing for me to do.
I can hear that this mantra is very critical to who you are. So is this what inspired you to become a TEDx speaker, or were there like other options?
I became a speaker, I think, I don't know if everybody in the room has had this, but when I was younger, I always felt like I needed to be on a stage, to speak, to share. And so over my life, it's been calling me. Like this was something that I was supposed to do with my life to help those that will follow, hopefully, to not make it as difficult as it was for me. And becoming a TEDx speaker is just one of those lofty goals. We all have goals, right? What are the big goals that you wish to dream one day, to actually accomplish your dreams, right? And going on the TEDx stage for me, if I was brave enough to be an advocate, which is scary, to talk about ableism, which is also scary, but if I was brave enough to do that and would make it onto that red dot, I knew that I would have a huge stage to create awareness on something that not a lot of people want to talk about. And my mom passed away when I was 7, and she told my dad, all she wants me to do is to be an independent, strong woman. And that is what I am. And when I went onto that TEDx stage, that was for me, but it was also for her, because I grew from that little girl into a strong, independent, successful, powerful, disabled woman. And that is what we all have the ability to do in this room, is to lean into our power and literally change the world.
Do you have any tips on how you prepare to speak? Because I know for a lot of us, public speaking is something we shy away from, and it can be very scary.
Know your niche, know your message, know what you care about, be authentic, and if you lean into all of those things, the audience receives it from you. I am not a trained speaker. I have never had a course in it. I get up on stage and I lean in with my heart. And I want people to engage with my eyes and to have an experience where it feels very personal. And so for me, I'm just trying to have a relationship with every single person who is kind enough to give me their time and space to maybe experience something that they're not aware of.
Yeah, so obviously you've done a lot of incredible work in advocacy for the disabled community. What has been the most rewarding part of your work as an advocate for inclusion and accessibility?
Y'all, I have been on the most incredible stages. I don't even know how I've ended up where I was in New York Fashion Week last year. I worked for Victoria's Secret and Netflix and Target and like creating products and doing incredible things. I don't even know how I got here. But the most important thing that I could ever do with my voice is exactly what we're doing here today, sharing with the youth who are literally going to be the leaders of our next generation, who are gonna hire people with disabilities, who are gonna give people with disabilities the opportunities that weren't willing to give them to me, to give you all the belief in yourself to go and reach your dreams, whatever that is. And each one of these girls that I've had the honor to be in front of, and they reach out to me after and they say, I never knew there was content out there like this. I never knew that was a possibility. I'm gonna go, I wanna be a speaker. I did a book report on your TEDx talk. Like, all of those things are transcending into shifting ableism, which is when we favor an able-bodied over disabled lived experience. It shifts our perspective on the way we're looking at the world and humanity, and that is the most important thing for me, is to have these little girls lean into their power and go and share their stories and be whoever they want to be as well. That's the most important for me.
So in your experience, what would you say that is the most common misconception about individuals with physical disabilities?
That we are unable, that we are not of value in school, in sports, in the workplace, that this is a tragedy, this is a lived experience that you would never want, ever. And the reality is, this is who I am. My disability is part of my identity, just the same as being a woman and all of the other things that make up who I am. I would never be where I am today, never, without it. My disability is part of who I am. I don't want to fix it. I don't want to heal it. I would not be who I am without it. And many people with disabilities feel the exact same way. Just because I have a physical disability does not mean I am limited in any way within my knowledge, within my experience, within what I can give to the world and within the workplace. And so I think just shifting that disability is part of my identity. We don't need to fix it. It's okay to say the word disability. It's okay to ask me about it, all of that.
I know from doing this week and from listening to your talk that a lot of us are going to want to go out and make a change in our community. So what advice would you give for people who want to do that?
I put a lot up on the screen because I know we're short on time, but the number one advice I can give you truly is do it. I waited until I was in my 40s to do something that I knew was in my heart to do, that was my path. I thought I needed to be a Paralympic athlete. I thought I needed to have extra degrees, which I have. I've gotten degrees from around the world. I've worked for the Paralympics. I've done all these things because I never thought I was enough. The reality is people want to know my story, and it was always there. So if you have advocacy in your heart and it's something that you want to do, go for it. Start.
So obviously, as you start to get on this journey of advocacy and making change, there are going to be challenges and setbacks. How do you stay motivated in the face of these challenges?
Inclusion is an act. It's something that we have to choose to partake in, sometimes moment to moment, second by second. It is extremely important work. This work is not about me and if I'm tired and if I can't do it anymore. And there are days that I am like that, where advocacy burnout is a real thing. But what motivates me to do this is seeing the change and the impact that it's making when companies start to implement accessibility in their products, or somebody who is your age that was at one of my events is now on some stage somewhere, or I'm seeing the actual impact of it. Like, it is so motivating for me. And down to the littlest thing of, like, when I get done speaking, people are like laughing and crying and they're emotionally invested. And my platform is called the Heart of Inclusion. And it's called that because from a disability standpoint, we miss the human experience of it. We miss humanity. We think about accessibility and ADA and compliance and all of that. But there are human beings behind these stories. And that human experience is what drives me, because for me, I've always been looked at as a compliance issue, a hazard, a liability, instead of my power, of what I can bring to the world. Those things, teaching those things, is why I started my business and is why I'm doing the work that I'm doing, and it's critical. Crucial.
I'm curious to know, with your work with inclusion, what changes would you like to see in society regarding disability inclusion in the next 10 years? Like maybe in terms of innovation and or tools to increase accessibility with people with disabilities?
I put this quote up here. This is Judy Heumann. She is the founder of the disability rights movement, very important civil rights legislation that was passed in our country. And she is famous for saying, Why do we see disability differently than any other aspect of being human? And what I want to see in the next 10 years is that we don't. That we look at disability as part of our community and part of our lived experience. And there's gonna be a ton of technologies that are implemented. There's massive amounts of AI tools and all kinds of things that are helping disabled people communicate and to leverage work and all of that. And those things are gonna continually change and build. But the biggest blocker, in my opinion, from an inclusion standpoint with disability is societal perception that we place on disability. That it is so limiting that we're not gonna hire you, we're not gonna include you, we're not gonna befriend you, we're not gonna love you, we're not gonna marry you, we're not gonna, all of it. And disabled people do all those things. We get married, we drive, we work, we're successful, we love, we're best friends, we get married, all of it. And that is my biggest hope for the future, is that we don't look at disability in any other aspect other than being human.
Obviously, you've changed and impacted so many people's lives with these talks. So what legacy would you like to leave as an advocate for it?
Be the change. Be the change that you want to see in the world. And for me, I want to leave some impact. I want to lead with my heart, and hopefully the path that I lead is opening a path through the heart of inclusion, where society is more comfortable to say the word disability, to talk about it, to engage, and to leverage as an asset rather than a limitation. That's what I hope to do with my work.
You've been really successful in life, and I'm just curious about what your favorite personal accomplishment is.
Ooh, that's tough. The TEDx was a big deal. I had this dream to work for the Paralympics when I was a little bit older than y'all, and I ended up getting a master's program, a full ride scholarship for a master's program in Europe, where I moved to Europe, and it was for adapted physical activity, and I ended up working for the Paralympics for a couple years and going to several of the games and doing a lot of research, and that was one of my bucket list accomplishments. And we created educational manuals that were delivered globally to schools to teach them about disability inclusion. And I was really proud of myself to move to a very inaccessible continent. It made me very thankful for where I live and that there is accessibility laws in place here that allow me to, but it also gave me an opportunity to see that other cultures might see disability and are a little bit more welcoming because they can see that there's a need for collaboration on inclusion, that everything isn't accessible, that inclusion requires somebody to lend a hand and then for me to accept it, which was also really hard for me to do as an independent, strong person. I don't want it, I don't need it, I got it. And in reality, I learned over there that this is collaborative work that we have to do together to be successful in it. So that was one of my big accomplishments, was just moving to Europe and getting a master's degree and working for the Paralympics and becoming one with my disability, honestly, because I rejected it for a really long time. I faked it,
So I think we have a few minutes if anyone from the crowd wants to ask a question while we have the amazing Alycia Anderson here. If not, we do have a few more questions, but yes.
Brilliant to hear you speak. I'm interested to know, looking back on being a young person, what's something that you might tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self that, you're gonna make me cry, that you're literally gonna reach your dreams. And I did a TEDx talk that's called Disabling Ableism, the Modern Pathway to Inclusion, and it talks about the third grader me. And if y'all are interested in learning what that is, go watch it. But disability inclusion was really hard back then. And I was always so embarrassed of who I am. And now in this space that I am, and getting up on stages and being proud of who I am, that's taken my whole life. I'm being a crybaby. So I would tell my younger self, you're gonna be really shocked and very proud that you're sharing who you are in an authentic way.
What was your journey in becoming a TED speaker, and did you ever watch any other TED videos too for fun?
Definitely watch TED videos, and that is like a bucket list for a speaker to get on a TEDx stage. And so my process for that was apply until you get it. But you have to be willing to talk about something that you're afraid of. And back then, I did my TEDx almost 4 years ago. I was still getting my footing in advocacy, and I was afraid to be an advocate. I was afraid that people would judge me. I was afraid that society would reject me if I said the word ableism, if I talked about the things that I'm discriminated against, if I talk about how it feels to be left out or not included or misunderstood or undervalued. And the second I decided to lean into the things that I was personally afraid of, I was free. Literally free. Picking something for a TEDx talk that is a one lesson to take away that is daring and bold is scary. And so that's what I did, and I got it, and it was a big deal for my business, for sure.
And also, how was the Alycia Anderson company created, and also what did it do?
Thank you for that. The Alycia Anderson company was created by myself and my husband, and there he is. And we're a motivational speaking company. We do corporate trainings on disability inclusion and disability inclusive leadership. We travel all over the world. We're making impact. We have a podcast called Pushing Forward with Alycia that talks about all kinds of disabilities. Incredible stories. So if you're ever looking for inspiration there,
How do we find you?
definitely find it. And you can find me at AlyciaAnderson.com.
Why don't you put up the slide?
I always forget that one.
There we go.
Anybody else?
With all the things that you aim to change in the world, what would you say is the most important to you personally?
So I think that starts with accessibility, which is very like, make sure that there is accessibility not only in infrastructure, but technology and workplaces and education and playground, all of it. Because if we're not creating accessibility for our world, disabled people literally cannot be included. We are excluded. Creating accessible environments is where inclusion starts. It has to. Otherwise, we are stuck literally at the bottom of the steps or on a computer that we can't read because we have visual impairment, all of the things. There's so many incredible technologies right now for accessibility, and it doesn't take that much to implement it. It's just learning and education on how to shift the status quo. Like, we need to shift the status quo because the world was built for able-bodied people. And I'm not just talking about wheelchair, visual impairment, invisible disabilities, the mixture of two. There's so many things. And that's what I'm advocating for right now in companies. Please, this is Siri, texting, closed caption, all these things, they were invented for disabled people. It's innovative. It drives revenue. It pushes our world forward. It's a path of least resistance. We all choose these things to use because it's the easiest way to use technologies and infrastructure and all. So it's a shift in perspective of status quo. Let's build for able-bodied, and then we'll fix what we have to. How about we look at a universal approach? What works for all of us? Do that in the beginning, and then we're all invited to have a seat at the table of life, honestly. Accessibility is really important when you go into your careers. Advocate for it, even if you don't have a disability. Yes?
How do you handle casual or unintentional ableism from people around you in your life?
I lean in with empathy. Sometimes it's frustrating, of course, but my platform's called The Heart of Inclusion. I lean in with love. I want to get past the uncomfortable mistakes so we can learn. I correct politely, and I use it as an opportunity to educate, honestly. And not all of us have to do that. That is not a requirement. But I just got to a point in my life where I was so tired of people not understanding that I just need to smile. My dad would tell me, this is gonna be a tough life. Do the best that you can with what you've been given, and when you can, try to smile, because it invites people in to understand something that they do not know. That society's been saying, look away, don't ask, that's bad, and instead, why don't we lean in and have a conversation together?
Also, Ms. Anderson, is your company like international, or does it like reach out to other countries?
Yep.
Okay.
International.
I think we have time for one more question. I've seen your hand for quite a while.
We saved the best for last.
question. But as someone who's like been to so many different places with different like perspectives on disabilities, how do you deal with people who are more hesitant to like learning more about what it is to live with disability?
Again, I think it's meeting people where they are at, and when I see the opportunity to just start little engagements, I do.
Thank you so much again, Alycia.
Thank you so much.
1, 2, 3, go Panthers.
Everybody say inclusion matters.
Inclusion